What's up, fight fans? John Gooden here, play-by-play announcer for the UFC. This year marks my 10 years with the UFC, so here are 10 of my favourite moments. So I guess a great place to start was the very first time I picked up a UFC microphone. Boy, oh boy, nothing could have prepared me for the UFC production. There was one particular moment, and it's that moment where we open up the main card.
The world-famous Octagon makes a very welcome return.
UFC fans know all about this. They know that the presenters are about to get up and do their thing. So when I got out of the commentary position, turned around to sort of face the crowd, I didn't anticipate everyone to be there. Everyone was so supportive, but boy did I gulp before my first on camera for the UFC. Also in 2014 was that big McGregor card in Dublin. Now, I was very lucky. Before my time with the UFC, I worked at Cage Warriors, where we had the explosion of Irish mixed martial arts.
What a knockout by Conor McGregor!
To see this guy that I'd been commentating on since like 2010 climb the ranks into a position where he was headlining his own card in his hometown, it was absolutely bonkers. So for me to be a small part of that celebration of Irish mixed martial arts is one of the biggest moments in my broadcasting career. My next big moment was the very first UFC world title fight that I commentated on, and it was Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Jessica Penne. I also get to produce a lot of features, so I go out in Europe and I visit with the fighters themselves. And one of the first features I ever did was visiting Joanna in Olsztyn, Poland, which was somewhere that I would never ever have visited before. So I felt a little bit closer to that story, having seen her at home with her family in the gym, and then of course to be there Octagon side and to have some of my words to lay over her incredible performance that night, that will always be a standout memory for me. My next one's not so much a moment, it's a thing, and it was the show Inside the Octagon. There was something called Monday Night Football back in the UK where a couple of analysts stood around a screen and then they broke down the sport. Well, we did it for mixed martial arts. I'm very proud of the work that we did there, and we built this show to then get an enormous amount of views and a really good following. I learned so much doing that show. I had so much fun. I miss it dearly, but I'm pleased that there are still people to the day that talk and ask about Inside the Octagon. I couldn't come up with 10 big moments without speaking about Bisping versus Silva in London. Personally, growing up, there were two fighters that I looked up to most closely. Michael Bisping, he was the guy from the UK, and Anderson Silva. So to see these two Goliaths of the sport go toe-to-toe was just incredible. And then I was going to be a part of it in the broadcast.
Michael, the Count Bisping, is back home.
Just an epic performance, and the drama that went with it as well. Always hats off to Michael Bisping, truly one of my greatest moments. Another really great memory is one of my first international trips over to the United States. I got to attend UFC 205, and it was to watch the notorious one, Conor McGregor, grab his double champ status, but my role that week was something different. I was the host of the Purple Carpet. We had a bunch of UFC fighters and celebrities come through, loads of fan interaction, and it was just a challenge on my skill set. But then to end the night by going inside and watching some of the greatest mixed martial artists throw down, including Conor, it was a very, very special night for me. One of my more significant achievements with the UFC was my Up Close series. I've always maintained that I thought a Louis Theroux approach, to those of you that are familiar with the famous British broadcaster, where I would go up and meet a fighter in their own surroundings and spend the day with them where they can help tell me their stories. And of course, Darren Till is such an easy guy to be around. It was the perfect time for me to get one out the gates.
Yeah, don't worry mate, everyone does it.
And I'm proud to say that that probably was what hatched the current UFC Fight Pass deal that I have today, that helps me dive into some other parts of broadcasting that really interest me. My next moment is kind of broad, and it's Fight Island. We were all so lucky to be on Fight Island when the rest of the world was locked down, but personally, I really got to grow as a broadcaster. I had the That Is Real Life Ninja stuff on the Buckley call.
That is real life ninja stuff.
Just everyone's effort on Fight Island to really showcase the sport in a very troubled time It was something that will go down in the history of combat sports, and I'm very happy and lucky and privileged to have been around it. Something else I'm proud to speak about is Fight Day Focus.
Welcome to Fight Day Focus.
The UFC entrusted a new project to me, a very exciting one at that we had in the EMEA region, with a little home base in London as well, where it's a magazine-style show which I've always believed in, and a little crew of ours got together with some really big hitters in the UFC, and we had a lot of fun. It is a show that I'm very fond of. I'm sad that it's not with us anymore. Hopefully one day, though, we will bring back Fight Day Focus. Something else that is absolutely huge for this little guy here from Watford Town is working stateside. I have now been to Las Vegas more than 10 times, I think. I have actually worked in the fight capital of the world. I couldn't have dreamt of this when I first started calling fights at the Watford Coliseum in 2009. And now I regularly get to take a plane over to Las Vegas, sit there in the best seats of the house and watch some of the baddest people on the planet throw down. I'm so privileged to be in this seat, have this opportunity to call fight nights and also the Road to UFC tournament. And every time I fly in and see the Las Vegas Strip, I get goosebumps. I have to pinch myself that John Gooden from Watford gets to do this for a living. These last 10 years have been some of the best years of my life. Thank you very much to all the fans that have supported me and those that have tolerated me over that time. Thank you, of course, to the UFC for always giving me a platform upon which to speak. I hope I get to do this for another 10.